Hello, this is your favorite artist and author, Mark P. Bromley the Younger, born in 1969 after Woodstock. And today I would like to introduce to you a additional project that I'd like to be doing for the 2025 to 2027 series of paintings. And this one is a fun little painting called The Cunts of Council. The reason why the harsh name is chosen is because the Democrats of Adams County, Colorado, have been hateful, harmful, and destructive, and they are all on council. So this is basically to represent the cunts of council, the bitches that are on the city council of Northglenn that need to have a art piece done about them. And this is a project that you can help fund. The amount of money that I'm actually asking and requesting to create this piece, because it's going to be a 5 foot by 3 foot uh, canvas. I'm probably going to use oil paint for it. It's the value of it is estimated around $3,000 to actually create this project. And it is a political piece. It is a piece about North Korea Northglenn. It's about the communism, the socialism, the fascism that this terrible Adams County Democrats and the terrible politicians of Colorado have deserved. They earned this painting right here. And what it is, it's a painting of a collage of a popular concept in current theories. And I thought I might use uh, Modigliani as a background for this work as far as the faces, because the reality of these people that I ran into council, they are faceless. They don't really matter. Their contribution to history is slight, little, insignificant, and to not. But yet, for them to embrace such horrible policies in the United States of America, like for instance, in this mock-up that I did, which is an AI generated mock-up of the artwork, you might see some cats and some dogs in there and a child. There's like one child going to be put in the center of the picture, and that's basically representative of the flags in the background that are like of communist China, of communist uh, dictators and tyrannical states such as North Korea, Belarus, Russia, and well, Ukraine is one of those now too because they have suspended uh, democratic elections. So we're not going to deal with any different leader. We're just going to deal with a dictator in Ukraine from now on. And well, basically, the Cunts of Council here in North Korea Northglenn have actually gone over and got their legislation. It's not just here in North Korea Northglenn, it's all of Colorado. Apparently, a lot of their gay and lesbian activists who actually fraudulently got elected because they wanted to fool people into making them think that they're women when they're in fact men. What they legislated, a lot of these laws that they legislated are in truth communist. They got their laws from China, communist China, and their one child policy, hence the one child. And then there's going to be 4 pets added to this because here in North Korea, Northglenn, they created a really Gestapo, KGB like policy of a family can only have 4 pets. 4 cats, four dogs, 2 cats, you mix and match, but you can only have 4. Now the strange thing about that if a cat has babies or a dog has babies, you can actually end up with more than 6 or more than 8 in that litter. So yeah, it's going to definitely break that policy. But so what is that? Is that do you have to euthanize these pets because you're going to be in violation of those pet laws? Well, that's just one communist thing that they've done, but they've been doing a lot of communist legislation because they've been working with dictators and tyrants like Soros, who runs Act Blue, who is from the same region and shares boundaries of Belarus, which is also a terrible tyrannical nation. Ukraine's turning into a tyranny. Russia's already tyranny, but at least Russia has elections. Even though we can doubt the quality of those elections, we know they have elections. But they do get these things from communists, and they're pushing global socialism, which is fascism. It's communism, socialist, fascism. And hence, there's going to be a whole bunch of people in this background. I was thinking of using Modigliani, seeing that, Johnny Depp created that movie Modi, which was kind of somewhat inspirational and coming up with the idea to say, oh, yes, can I paint them all in Modigliani style? Yes, I could, because Modigliani's artwork is incredibly simple. It is it is silly. It's foolishly simple. And I thought, well, you could do this artwork. And all it comes down to is a very simple policy. $3,000, you can own the actual painting when I actually get around to creating it. Like I said, what you see in the background is just a sample. This is not what the painting is going to really look like. The AI is limited in its imagination and its capability and its capacity. And honestly, I don't want to teach AI how to see art. So I'll just let it go at what it did, because where it put the flags, how it put the flags in the wrong arrangement. Where it put the pets were all wrong. Where it put the child was wrong. The faces are wrong too. But then I thought, maybe I'll skip using Modigliani style and go with another classic. Something that I learned in the seventh grade was Mad Magazine style. Alfred E. Newman training to do Mad Magazine style faces and portraitures. And I might do that because there's more character in there. So, this piece is completely, totally guesswork as to what I'm actually going to create in it. Because I sat it there and looked at Modigliani, and I was sitting there going, seriously, come on, you can't be serious, these paintings. And then his friend is no better. I mean, I was trying to look up that one painting of the cow that his friend did, and I'm sitting there going, really, this simple, that easy, just really simple stuff. I mean, gosh, it's so simple. I mean, there's really no technical ability. You don't need much for that. And I thought, well, this is a good piece to do because it's called the Cunts of Council. And it's something that I've experienced here in Northglenn. The reason why I started running for political office, and I'll tell you why. It's because of the crime rate here in North Korea Northglenn is atrocious. I've been targeted by their corrupt police for 5 decades. I've had harassment from them after harassment after harassment. There was a situation where I had to actually prevent my son from being influenced by illegal drugs in the community because a couple of people that were doing crack and meth behind the city, behind the neighborhood fence, where they were actually engaging with high school students who were forced to walk to school. This is why they got rid of school buses. This is why they stopped busing children to school, is so they can be preyed upon by drug dealers when they're walking to school. And this is the sad truth of what actually really happened about that. And anyways, I had an altercation with them where they wanted to harass me because I look a lot different than my son. My son is actually from a different country. Well, he's not from a different country. He's born here in the United States. I guess I should say that. I should cut this. Yeah. Well, anyways, we look different. It's a miscegenated relationship and stuff like that. And I guess I'm telling you too much about that. So anyways, these white affluent drug addicts ran and called the police, and the police are saying the same thing as the drug addicts. Drugs are legal. Drugs are legal. Kind of yelling at me, kind of like AOC does Homan during the congressional hearings. You ever seen that? How AOC's yelling at Homan, Homan's just telling her what the law is, and she has no idea what the law is, and it's the weirdest thing ever. And it's the same thing that they were doing, and now I have a police officer telling me the same thing as the drug dealers, that the drugs are legal, and I'm sitting going, It's meth, it's crack, it's illegal. That's illegal drugs that they're actually distributing. This had nothing to do with anything else, and they have no right to try to sell that to a minor. They're trying to sell it to a minor. That is also illegal. But North Korea Northglenn, they destroyed our dairy industry. The Cunts of Council destroyed our dairy industry, which created healthy, wholesome milk. And they replaced it. The Cunts of Council replaced it with a drug industry. There's like 4 or 5, maybe even more drug shops that set up shop here in North Korea Northglenn. And the city management and all their people, they're all ecstatic because they got basically a drug cartel to fund some of the upgrades on their buildings, some of the upgrades on their by just donating money. And it's like, wow, they really get that much money. It was like, wow, they really get that much money for distributing drugs in the city? This is a drug cartel. So they destroyed our healthy, wholesome, milk producing dairy called Carl's Farm Dairy. They killed it. And they replaced it all with drugs and a drug cartel. And then they did even worse. They created legislation that now they can drive around with cars and distribute it. This is just pretty monstrous what they've actually turned into. And then they open up a healthcare facility here. And if you've been paying any attention to what goes on in mental health care in the state of Colorado, they targeted elderly and veterans who have money, who are getting money or some kind of assistance, and they said that they can get LSD and shrooms through mental health care. So if you go and start giving your money to mental health care, you're eligible for LSD and shrooms now. So not only pot, but all the hardcore drugs that you want. That's all that mental health care is turned into. And so, I call this piece Cunts of Council. So if anybody wants to reach out to me and distribute some funding my way to actually get this painting done, it's $3,000, 5 foot by 3 foot oil painting, which means this is not a cheap painting to make. It's actually kind of pricey. There's a little bit of cost to it. There's time involved. Their time could be like 4 or 5 weeks, and that's how long it takes. And basically, yeah, this is just one of the paintings of the series that I'd like to do. If 30 of you want get together, 30 people want to chip in $100 a piece, I'll give you a theater-sized poster of the finished work. You don't have to buy the actual work itself. You just need 30 people to chip in $100 to get a theater-sized poster of the completed work. I actually don't make any money off of that. I actually lose a lot because I have to produce the theater-sized posters, and the theater-sized posters can get kind of pricey. So yeah, the margin that I'm dealing with there is very slight. So yeah, but if you want to be a benefactor and you want to pay me for the painting itself, $3,000. Um, yeah, I suppose you could give me input in what you would like to see. Would you like to see it done in Modigliani style, or would you like to see it done in Mad Magazine style? That's the two options I'm putting on the table there. Well, you think about it, and you come back here and you tell me what you really want. Thank you very much for looking, and you have a great day. Get my art, Mark Bromley the Younger, born 1969. I also have another project, the Doppelganger project. That's all scheduled for the same time frame. I'm also interested in doing some impasto work, but I'll talk about that later on a different video. You all have a great day. Thank you.